Good morning. Welcome to Criminal Justice Insider with Babz, Rawls-Ivy, and Jeff Grant, sponsored by the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven, now more than ever. Today on Criminal Justice Insider, my guests are, this is girl power today, straight up girl power. I have Sue Grunderman and Beth Hines. Beth is the Chief Operating Officer for the Community Partners in Action, where she's worked for 27 years in a variety of capacities. She has extensive leadership and operation experience, guiding several programs, including alternative in the community programs, which used to be alternatives to incarceration. So that's her. Sue Gunderman has more than 20 years in the human service field, and more than a decade of that time has been spent working in the field of reentry, providing comprehensive services to incarcerated parents. So this is what they say on paper. We're going to have a good conversation about what they do in real life. Welcome.
Thank you, Babz.
It's nice to have y'all. All right, so Beth?
Yes.
And Sue.
Yep. Got it.
All right, so you just gave me a good education on it's not called alternatives to incarceration anymore. What's it called?
Alternative in the community program.
Yay. And why are we calling it that these days?
Well, alternative incarceration had a negative connotation, and that's not really what we were doing. The programs are focused on behavior change, providing strategic case management, basic needs assistance, and helping clients heal and successfully move through the criminal justice system, meet their conditions of probation. The primary goal of the program is risk and recidivism reduction.
Okay. And that means keeping people from going back.
Correct.
To jail.
Correct.
Okay. And then tell me why you do the work that you do.
Oh, gosh. Why do we do what we do? Why do I do it? I started right after college. I went right to work in a community action agency. And
that's like chock full of everything, soup to nuts.
Everything. And I started working with Head Start families back then. And the slogan was people helping people. And I just took that to heart. And for me, that has been the way I live my own life, treat others with respect and dignity. And it just paved that way for me to work a decade with Head Start families, and then most recently working with, last 10 years, working with families, parents who have been incarcerated and their children. And it just lit a fire in me, and I've just been passionate about it ever since. And well, I don't have lived experience or a close family member. I have, my mother was impacted by the mental health. And so she was quite ill.
Bring the mic closer.
Oh, sorry.
You can move it.
I can move it. I'm moving. She was. We didn't deal with the correctional institutions, but we dealt with mental health institutions, and so that system, and so growing up with somebody with mental health issues touched me deeply, and so we know a lot of the folks that we work with every day are impacted by that. So that's my personal what drives me, but I love the work. I love doing this.
Now Hartford just opened you just told me Hartford just opened a
little reentry welcome center. The city of Hartford. Not so little and very busy right now. So Community Partners in Action is the lead nonprofit, and the city of Hartford is a strategic partner along with 40 plus partners we are so grateful for, who are part of the Greater Hartford Reentry Council.
Now is it a private public partnership? Like, it's not just all nonprofits sitting around this table. Are there some businesses sitting around this table too, or?
I think it's a little bit of everybody.
A little bit of everybody?
We got a little bit of everybody.
Okay.
Lawyers.
Yeah, you name it, we got them. and so they all came together. I think all the ducks aligned. It originally started about 5 years ago. I want to give props to the Second Chances team of the Third Age Initiative Program of Leadership Greater Hartford. They work closely with Greater Hartford Reentry Council and basically drafted a plan about 5 years ago, 5 years ago, for a triage model for a reentry welcome center. And we presented it at City Council back then, and they said, great plan, great idea. We don't have any money. The ducks aligned about a year and a half ago. And so Community Partners in Action stepped up to be the lead agency, the lead nonprofit. The city of Hartford stepped in. Mayor Bronin is a huge supporter of folks, giving folks second chances. And the Foundation for Public Giving all came together. And in January, CPA was awarded $450,000 for the next 3 years to run a reentry welcome center in the city of Hartford.
So how large is your reentry population? Because I know what it's like here in New Haven. And, you know, New Haven is the urban center just like Hartford, right?
Yep.
So you in urban centers, you see a higher concentration of things.
Yeah, everything.
Particularly around reentry, people come back to community.
Absolutely. God, the number off the top of my head. For 2016, I'm trying to think of what the report had said. They covered the greater Hartford region in the report, and it was over 2,000. And I think at least half, almost half, or was 1,000. Oh God, now you got me. The number off this. Beth, you know the number off the top of your head?
I don't, but I would imagine it's quite similar to New Haven.
I would imagine
it is very similar. Yep. And so the need was there, and the funder was there. Community Partners in Action and Deborah Gala, got to give her props.
She's our program operations.
She was there at the original triage plan, and she was there. She's been blood, sweat, and tears in this, and couldn't have done it without her. So
prior to you working in this reentry field, what was Hartford doing? What were they doing with their reentry people? I'm always curious about because there's a lot of focus on reentry right now, but what were happening to people prior to the awareness and the enlightenment of people coming back to the community? Do you have any thoughts on that? So,
one of just to backtrack to the reentry center a little bit, one of the beauties of the reentry center is CPA and the Department of Correction were able to establish a new protocol for people coming back to the city of Hartford who were end of sentence. So in the past, a client who was at end of sentence and was homeless was brought by the department back to Hartford and brought to an area shelter. And, unfortunately, you can't just enter shelters. You have to go through the 211 process, and, many times the shelters are full.
Yeah.
So that person, dropped off could potentially be on the streets for some time before they are able to secure a bed. So through the partnerships of the Reentry Center, CPA and DOC were able to make arrangements for anybody coming back from the Department of Correction to the city of Hartford who is homeless. No longer is dropped off at the shelter, but they're actually dropped off right at the Reentry Center.
Okay.
Right.
So that they come in, we know when they're coming. It can be 6:30 in the morning. If that's the case, we have staff present on site to welcome them. And then the clients will come in and we will triage their situation, hopefully connect them to the immediate services that they need, provide them with all the support and encouragement and hope that they need. It's so far it's made an incredible difference. Sue, tell me if you could tell us how many clients so far have been dropped off by DOC.
So we had, in the first 2 weeks, we had 2 transports, 2 individuals. We actually have a transport from York today.
2 transports from York.
And that's the women's
so that's
the women's prison, right?
That's the women's prison.
The state women's prison, York Correctional in New London or
Niantic.
Niantic.
Yep.
Okay.
So we have there might be 2 coming on that transport this morning. There was one added yesterday. Actually, we got a call from a facility, and so I don't know all the details. So it would be 4 after today. It'll be 4. If the women are coming together, which I don't know if they are, if they're coming together, it would be 4 transports from DOC, successful transports. So
were the clients that came homeless, Sue?
Yes, the 2 gentlemen. I don't know about the women because again, they're just were added. I believe they were all shelter transports. Yeah. That's the protocol that we set up with them.
Okay.
So so these folks would normally, and right now with the coordinated access network, the housing, the way 211 is working, we've got housing. We don't have enough capacity right now, and it's fall, and I'm scared to think of what it's going to look like when it gets cold.
So what is the challenge with housing? That there's no affordable housing available, or no housing, or no what?
No to all. There's not there is not enough capacity. The need is greater than the capacity, and so with Representative McGee, we're all part of a legislative committee right now, working on these issues. To make recommendation to our next legislative session, to hopefully have some recommendations in there to build capacity. It is scary. You cannot be dropped off at a shelter. If you are dropped off at that shelter, you can't enter the shelter. You have to go through the 211 process. It's the coordinated access. Yep. Yes.
Because they want to know some background, or they want to know or that's just.
Well, I think
they're
it was
triaging.
They're triaging.
Okay.
Assessing the risk and the need of the individuals, and so they're having one point of entry for that. I think it was like 4.5 years ago,
right?
That it started, and so while we understand the point of, and one point of access, it just there's not enough capacity, and obviously there are priorities. Those with families, women and children, those that have significant needs, health needs, disabilities.
And these are the people that are reentering back in. Like these are just the people that you're just dealing with the people who are returning.
Correct.
Not just like other people with other issues that are out there.
Correct.
But the 211 system
is dealing with everybody. Veterans, everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Now in the 211 system, do people self-identify that they are reentry? Do they how does that work?
I believe they ask the questions.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're at.
Like, are you returning from correctional facility?
And sometimes, and what Department of Correction is trying to do before folks leave is doing the 211 call before they leave, before the individual leaves. If they know they have no place to go, the Department of Correction staff are making those 211 calls with the individuals before they leave. That is best practice.
So this time of the year probably gives you both pause because winter is coming.
Oh, it is.
And so now you have to sound the alarm. Like, so where do you go to sound the alarms? Like, whose door are you banging on?
Well, we mentioned, we're now part of a housing committee with Brandon McGee and also the Connecticut Office of
Equity and Opportunity
to hopefully make an impact on what's going on. There's a lot of models out there that there's rapid rehousing. There's a host of models out there that are evidence-based and that we can look to help with this issue.
Do you spend your time looking at those things? Like, who looks at those? Who looks at the innovation? Like, who's responsible
Funny
for?
Funny, she should say that, Beth.
This committee.
This committee. Yeah. We happen to be co-chairs with Judy McBride.
Because that's got to. I mean, on one hand, I think that's fascinating. But on the other hand, it's got to be daunting because if you see something out there, you want to bring it here, then you got to start the lobbying
for the
steps,
resources.
right? For the resources. Like, we think this is good, but we got to pay for it.
Exactly.
And we've been told to not worry about the resources needed to make it happen. So come up with the plan.
Come up with the plan.
The pie in the sky plan. And so that's what we're working on. But then the challenge, of course, will be securing the resources necessary to see that plan through.
That's the part that we're so concerned about. It's and obviously we have a new, we're gonna have new leadership coming in, and so
so you have that to contend with.
So little change in leadership coming, and
you don't know exactly where people will stand.
Correct.
On
but
these kinds of issues.
So
yeah.
So that's why this document that we're going to be completing by January.
Yep.
Will be able to be presented to the next session, also the new governor. And so that's all good stuff happening because if this work wasn't being done, then the new governor coming in wouldn't have this information to be able to make good decisions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you geared up for that? So now you got to gear up for that.
We're geared up.
Don't you worry. Get out and vote. Rock the vote. You gotta rock the vote.
Yep.
So you gotta be geared up regardless of who becomes the next sitting governor.
Right.
You've got to be prepared to push this agenda in front of them and say, look,
Absolutely.
and you've done all the work.
Yes.
Yep.
So that all they have to do is look it over and thumbs up, thumbs down, or ask questions or whatever. Or let's hope.
Yeah.
Well, y'all been in this game a long time, so you've seen leadership
come and go.
Yep. But the issue is still remains.
I know. It's sad that we're still talking some of these issues that, they're people reentering, all the barriers that they face, the stigma. I think that's one thing that we've been mindful of with the Connecticut Reentry Collaborative is that, the roundtables, I think, looking at the stigma far outweighs the charges. When somebody's sentenced and they complete their time, the stigma follows them
forever.
And
so it's like they're always serving time.
Always.
And
even
reminded.
Reminded, because even if they get their lives, quote unquote, together,
right.
there's still that.
Oh, yeah.
When people find out that you've served time.
Well, you could do an application to go to school. You do an application to go to housing. You try to get a job. All these things. Every time we ask questions.
Try to get insurance.
Insurance, everything. And so buy a house. I mean, it's just everything we do in life. It reminds them that they made a mistake and they made some poor decisions in their life. And, it just brings it all back. And so, we need to do a better job of reducing those stigmas and treating people with respect and providing hope and opportunity. And how do we do that? And so we need to do a better job, all of us, of doing that and being mindful of that. And those with lived experience are key and need to be at the key partners in this process and need to be at the table, at these round tables.
Which they are. They're also part of the housing committee meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So they're at the table. We need to see more folks at the table and using their expertise, because those that are directly impacted have the greatest. They have the best answers.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So walk me through your day to day. Walk me through.
Do you really want to know that?
Walk me through your day to day.
What time did I get up this morning?
So Community Partners in Action, operates a number of programs. We talked about the alternative in the community program.
Yep.
We also have transitional houses in Hartford and Waterbury, and we have a work release program funded by the Department of Correction in Hartford.
And so, what does the work release look like? Tell me a little bit about that.
So the work release program, we serve 24 men.
Okay. At any given time, or rotating in and out?
Rotating in and out. Their average stay is between 3 and 6 months.
Okay.
And they come right from the Department of Correction. So, they're coming right out of prison. And the goal is to help them successfully transition to the community and all the things that go along with that. So, obviously, that is helping them secure employment, set up a savings account, connect with family, anything that is pro-social, anything that can be, pro-social activities in their life. So, those who want to be connected to faith-based services, we want to make sure that happens. While they're with us day to day, the staff are participating. They're helping them with managing their finances. They're doing financial literacy workshops, employment groups. They're also meeting with their case managers on a regular basis. They also are participating in services outside in the community. So if they've had a history of substance abuse, we want to make sure that they're connected to counseling if they need it, whether that's participating in substance abuse groups, maybe with Healer Clinic in Hartford, or community renewal team they also go to for substance abuse. Just making sure that they have relapse prevention services, because it's tough out there.
Oh, I can imagine. I well imagine. All right, so you have that. What else happens in your day? What else?
So my day now that
the boss,
no.
Boss Hines.
So my particular responsibilities are to ensure that the transitional houses are safe, that the clients in the program are safe. As you know, we've had significant opiate epidemic.
Yes.
That has been a challenge for our residents. Unfortunately, we have had overdoses, and the staff have been incredible, saving numerous people's lives with Narcan.
Now, we've just had this whole big thing here in New Haven.
Yeah.
Like on the green, people were just...
It was awful.
It was awful. That was hard to
2 or 3
watch.
days of
Yes.
overdoses, like one after the other.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
And, we have staff that we have all of our residential staff walk around with Narcan on their person at all times. Unfortunately, this is our new normal. It just doesn't really feel like it'll ever be normal.
Okay.
One of the things we say to our residents as they leave each day is, be safe, be safe, make good decisions. You know, because it's so hard out there.
Okay. So that's your day.
Well, I mean, that's part of my day. You know, I work
because you have to keep the doors open.
Yes, I'm also involved in working on key strategic initiatives for the agency-wide, with our executive director, Sherry Mineta. We're also in somewhat of a transition at the agency. Our former executive director, Maureen Price-Borland, was recently named to be a Superior Court judge.
Congratulations.
Which is awesome.
Yes,
we are
that's
incredibly
good
proud
because
of her.
she's got some awareness, some
She
real
sure does.
awareness.
She sure does.
And that's like,
She's
that's
perfect.
probably unheard of to have that level of awareness going
amazing.
into a judgeship. So
yes. So the agency itself is in a transition where we are seeking our next leader. And so I've helped to kind of pick up some of the responsibilities since Maureen has left, in collaboration with our executive director, who's assisting through this transition. So, you know, that's, you know, talking with donors and people who might be interested in helping move CPA's mission along further.
And now are people still concerned about reentry people? Is it still?
So. I think actually more so than ever. I mean, so I've been with CPA for almost 28 years. And so,
wow.
Yeah. I know.
She's
was
a
10
veteran.
when I started.
Were you like interning in like 6th grade?
Yeah. I've been very fortunate. I am blessed to be with such an incredible agency. So I've held a number of positions in the agency. So I've been able to stay connected to the clients, even though I don't have a caseload anymore. And also work closely with the staff and continue to support and encourage them as they, you know, work through the challenges of helping our population.
Okay. All right. Now tell me about your day.
Oh, it depends
because I think
day.
it's good to see people that do this work behind the scenes, because I think people just, when they think about reentry, they don't think about all the hands that are on this thing. They just think about the folks who are coming in and out of prison.
Right.
And so you don't see all the hands that sort of help shape positivity and guidance and
policy,
run these programs up against, you know, great odds. I mean, you know, it's not easy to run these programs when we are, particularly in Connecticut, when we got like a budget crises going on.
That's a scary thing.
That's and that, again, change in leadership is gonna even might make it scarier.
Yeah.
A lot of anxiety with the change in leadership for the people that work in the field.
I can, because if they don't have any regard for this population, and they are like a lot of people, you don't do the crime if you can't do the time,
exactly,
and you don't deserve anything beyond going to, you know what I mean, like that mentality. You know, they don't see the story.
Exactly.
Right.
One of the things
the success.
I try to tell friends that, you know, don't necessarily understand, that 99% of the people that are incarcerated, they're coming back.
Yeah, they're coming back. Few people stay in jail
they may be
for their lives.
Yeah. It's like 95. Yep,
so
95%.
Wouldn't you rather see these programs exist to help people successfully transition? You don't want to see them continue to cycle in and out of the prison system.
We don't want
That's
new
not good
victims,
for our community.
Yeah. Because that's your tax dollars at work.
Exactly.
Right? Like really, that's your
Sometimes you have to play that side of the game with people that don't necessarily understand, but maybe would understand more when it hits their pocket.
Yes. Well, this is why Texas.
Well, it's economics. Yeah.
Texas changed the way that they were opening prisons, right? Because they knew that they couldn't economically afford this, so they had to so they were forced to sort of think about the incarceration problem in a different way, and they looked at it from a fiscal standpoint, and not a moral issue.
Right. Many,
you know,
and many people do, and I think that's the scary part. So for me, I think it just depends on, and just getting back to the success, we need to hear the success and stories and hear more, because on the news and the media, all we see is negative every day. Like we get the message of who did what to whom, how, you know, so all you see are mugshots and you see the negative piece, and you don't hear the, you know, I mean, we had press for the Reentry Welcome Center, we had positive coverage for that, but you don't see the positive. You don't see the face of the individuals who made those mistakes, and so you don't hear their stories and their journeys, whether they're addiction, mental health, all the other things that are going on with folks. So you don't hear that as much. And we try to get the word out. I think
there's so many success stories.
There are, and we do a quarterly newsletter. One of many of
that's what I was going to ask you. You have
one of many things one of many hats. So you asked what my day looks like. Now it depends on the day. So right now I'm the interim director with Reentry Services for the City of Hartford. Blessed to be there by Mayor Bronin and Thea Montanez. I've been there since April. And so my biggest task so far has been the Reentry Welcome Center, bringing in the partners. I'm sustaining that, building those partnerships, drafting the agreements, and doing all that kind of stuff, as well as the physical space, getting it ready. And I'm there every day.
She's Gunder Woman.
Oh, you did not, Elizabeth Hines.
I love that, Gunder Woman.
Yes. Oh God, yes. I am dubbed Gunder Woman, and Miss Hines is in trouble because she's been saying it out to everybody.
That's all right. Women gotta hold women down like that.
Yeah. So she's
gotta support each other.
That's right.
I feel the love, my friend. I feel the love. So it depends on the day. I could be preparing for my Greater Hartford Reentry Council meeting. Right now we're working on a statewide, updating the statewide reentry strategy with this current administration, with Governor Malloy's administration. So we're working closely with them, all the roundtable leaders, Andrew Clark.
Yes.
Who kind of is our convener of the Connecticut Reentry Collaborative.
He's coming on the show sometime in November.
He is.
Oh,
I saw. Yeah. So he's our fearless leader.
He's a good guy.
He is a good guy.
Smart man.
Smart man. And so we are working with him.
You, Andrew.
Go, Andrew. So he's just like probably shaking his head like, oh God, help me.
And Babz is egging it on.
Oh my God, what's up? We'll start dropping some names. Hold on. But he was there at the beginning. I think, when I was thinking this more. So I'm talking about everybody else, but so me, it depends on the day. I tend to find myself either being drafted. I've got a meeting tonight about a summit that's going to take place in Hartford on poverty and criminal justice. There's just people are asking me all the time, Sue, can you do this? Can you help with this? And of course, I think I have a hard time saying no.
I think so.
Or I'm stepping outside the box, trying to create. We were working on our 6th reentry employment fair in Hartford. And I started thinking, okay, President Obama had the Fair Chance Pledge. We had Governor Malloy doing the Second Chance Society, Malta Justice, John Santa. They were doing their survey from an employer standpoint. Ban the Box was coming into play. And I started thinking, what are we doing at the local level? And so I started a little campaign called Hire One. And just thought, what if we could get every employer to hire one individual with a record?
Just one.
Just one. And the pin, I have a blue pin, says hire one and a key on it. And so, be the key to unlock an individual's potential, hire one, and gain a workforce for the future.
Wow.
It is
That's pretty powerful.
See why she's Gunder Woman?
That's pretty powerful. I like that.
You like that? I'll give you a pin after.
I want one.
But I think it's one of those things that I just said, what can we do? And again, it's grassroots, just like these round tables are grassroots. At these tables, we have everybody from Department of Correction, parole, probation, employers, nonprofits, providers, those directly impacted.
Because there's no area in life where reentry is not impacted or impacting all areas of life,
children,
whether it's housing,
family,
health, family, education,
and their families. Absolutely. So I think and we want to break the cycle for the next generation. We want to keep closing prisons. We want to keep the population going down, and we want to keep people in the community. I saw a gentleman this week. Actually, I had 2 quick stories, but I'm just going to share his. His name's Steven, and he's been out for 2.5 years. Young man, got in trouble when he was young. I got a chance to see him at the Leadership Greater Hartford graduation, and he's now out working full time. He's got a 10-month-old, and just to see the smile on his face when he talks about his son is that's what all the hard work is all about. To see his face, to be able to be with his son, and be able to just provide for his son is so important. And he has a decent job and looking toward housing and but he's still, we had the conversation about how he's 2.5 years out. He's still feeling like it's tough.
Like he just got out yesterday.
Yeah, the struggle. And I think we have to be mindful of, when somebody's first out, it's critical that they get connected to resources, and that's what the Reentry Welcome Center does. But also keep the support going, because we once they get a job, they're successful, but 2.5 years out, he's still feeling like that struggle, and we know 3 years is a pivotal point. So I reminded him, step back, look at all that you have done in that short time. And he put a smile on his face. He's like, yeah, I know. And he got his associate's degree too, and he's going off to continue his education. It just, I'm beaming, because I'm just like, wow, I'm just so proud of him. He did the hard work. He did all of it. And it's just moments like that. We got to share those, lift those stories up.
So support works. Like when you support somebody, it does. It works, and it changes their life.
It does. And the lives of their children and their families.
So tell me a little bit, Sue, about the newsletter that you put out, because that's full of good stories, right? Or information.
That's full of good stories. So that came out. Everything came out of let me give props to the Bridgeport Reentry Collaborative, because the Connecticut Reentry Collaborative wouldn't be nothing. 11 and a half years ago, around 11 years ago, a group of like-minded individuals got together and birthed the first Reentry Roundtable, and that was Bridgeport. It was Scott Wilderman, Steve Lanza, probably Andrew was there, and then all these other roundtables and the leaders, people, Sherry Albert was there, and Julia Wilcox, and Bill Dyson, and so many other people, wonderful people were there, and all these other roundtables came from that one conversation, one discussion. The Connecticut Reentry Voices kind of came from, and I'm going to give props to Commissioner Semple.
And he was our guest a few months back.
He's been big shoes to follow. I mean, we're grateful.
I'm advocating for him to be governor, but
if he's listening,
I think it's too late. You can write him in though.
We could do a write-in for Commissioner Semple. We could definitely do that, and I think he would do very well. But I think he's the one. He was at a meeting, and he shares that his staff don't get a chance to see the success and see the hope and see that, we get a chance to see the lives of people changing and how they've done that. And he's just like, we don't hear enough about success. And this was in the middle of a meeting, and Dan Braccio, love him. Here's props to Dan Braccio if he's listening. They were all in a meeting, and I think Liz Dupont-Deal was there, and a whole group of folks. They're all texting each other. Scott Wilderman was there. They're all like going back and forth. And all of a sudden, I get this phone call after the meeting. We got to share success. What can we do? And so, starting a newsletter came out of one of their meetings together. And so, he was Commissioner Summer was the impetus of what this looks like now. And a couple years in, I'm a little bit behind on this past one with the Reentry Welcome Center, but I try and get people to share success and hope. And so the individuals, we're asking those directly impacted to write their story and share it. I don't use last names, so if people are like, don't want their picture, that's fine. But we're trying to put out there all the things happening statewide around reentry. So, and so it comes out every quarter, and I blast it out, and everybody blasts it out, and before you know it, it's across the state, and everybody and their brother has a copy. And then folks I know on the inside get it, because the teachers and the DOC staff, correctional staff, are sharing those stories inside. So it's so important to do that, and it goes both ways. So we got to do more of it.
That sounds good. I think getting the stories out any way you can is important. So who gets the newsletter?
Everybody.
Whether they want it or not. It's funny when I meet people for the first time, they go, "You're Sue Gunderman. I get your emails," and I go, "Okay, should I just say sorry now?" I tend to get a little, I've been a little lax on my emails, but everyone's like, "No, I like them. Keep sending them," and I'm like, oh, "Okay, good." I just apologize first, and they go, "No, they're really good." I'm like, "Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. It's good to know that people are reading them and sharing that knowledge. That network is so powerful, and I think that's what our roundtables do is all this information and just it is grassroots, but it is powerful. It is powerful, and we have 8 active roundtables, and you spread that across our state from one end to the other. It is just the messages that we can get out around reentry. I believe we are forced to be reckoned with, and whoever the next governor is or elected officials, we're not going anywhere.
Nope.
I'm not retired. I'm not there yet. So I don't know what I'll be doing by the time that happens, but I think we will all be here ready to keep moving the messages forward and keep moving the goals that we need to, minimizing the barriers and addressing the things that we have to address, keep moving that forward, and how we can make it better for everyone and for across our state.
So talk to me a little bit about what have been the most significant changes that you've seen in your years of doing this work?
You've probably seen more than me.
So
I mean, are we in a good place? Are we moving in a good direction?
We're better.
Yes. So some of the things I've seen, for example, since I have
get right close to the.
Sorry.
Pull the mic right in front of you.
So much of
chew on the mic.
Yeah, since much of my experience is with the alternative and the community programs over the years, one of the things that we implemented was evidence-based programming and cognitive behavioral therapy back in, I want to say 2005 is when we started it. And that was a significant transition in terms of what we did at the AICs. And so now we're 13 years later. We keep adding on to the best practices that we provide for clients. We keep trying to improve our service provision. We stay current with the research so we know what's out there and what the data shows that works best, not only to help people, but help them heal, but also to help prevent them from engaging in further criminal activity.
Okay.
And the data's there. The data shows when clients complete the interventions at the AIC, they are less likely to recidivate.
Wow.
Significantly less likely. We even have data that shows the clients who complete their recidivism rate versus the clients who did not complete, and the difference is significant. And we're talking now 13 years of data. So it's not a fluke. This really does work. And the staff at the AICs are the key to that success. They participate in trainings throughout
tons
the years,
of training.
Tons of training. They also are assigned quality assurance coaches to make sure that they're staying true to the curriculum that they're providing. And the coaches help them further develop their strengths and also work on any, weaknesses they may have in delivering the curriculum, so that the clients that are participating are getting the best possible service, so that the ultimate goals can be achieved.
So are you more hopeful now than you've been? I mean, are you hopeful about the way we are discussing and handling and thinking about reentry for the future?
Hopeful, yes, but like Sue said, there's so much that still needs to happen. For example, the housing issue is significant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so with having way more need than capacity, we have to figure out a way to build that capacity. So we can have hope all we want, but we need the resources to make that happen.
Right.
So, I mean, I'll always be hopeful.
I understand what you're saying.
Right.
Listen, I understand the whole part, but we got to pay for things.
Yes.
There's some things called bills.
Yeah. and listen, we could be hopeful all day, but we got to have some.
The reality is,
but
the good thing is that the housing report that we're working on, that Sue mentioned, the reentry strategy that we're working on, all that legwork is being done. So when those next leaders come in, they have that right there. That's current, it's accurate, and it will spell out people that have researched these issues, what the leadership needs to do, keep moving the needle in the right direction.
Right. And I think depending upon who that leader is, we come at it one we were going to come at it and meet, in one way, and the other person we're going to have to go economically in another way. So whoever it is,
you're ready. You have a strategy for either way.
It's got to be a strategy for either way.
Yes.
And so we just need to be, when it happens, everybody exercise their right to vote. And if you're not registered, get out and get registered to vote and get your participants registered to vote. But I think it's something that we need to raise our voice and exercise our right, vote, and whatever the outcome is, we'll be ready to go. The network of all of us out here, we're all not going away. There might be a few people kind of, retiring And
That's okay.
That's okay. We've got some young whippersnappers coming up.
Others.
Yep. Those young whippersnappers, the youngins,
socially justice-minded individuals.
Yeah,
that's it.
A lot of interns,
Yeah.
a lot of the up and coming young people, and help us to raise their voices and get those directly impacted even more involved. Like ACLU is doing a great job with the Smart Justice campaign.
Incredible.
And they are bringing in people who are directly impacted and just being a voice. They're at every gubernatorial a debate going on and just raising their voice and letting it's people not prisons, I believe is one of their mottos right now.
Yes.
And so it's so important and so they are actively taking a charge and taking the lead on that, and I commend them for that. So
I also think we have to get rid of those labels.
Yes,
They're not
it's individuals,
citizens,
it's
they're
people,
not ex-offenders, they're people.
People
Okay.
first.
People
That's a good
first.
point. I like that point.
Yeah.
Because I never think of myself as I've never called myself an ex-offender. I've never said
Right.
I just think of myself. Like I don't
As
think
a person.
As a person.
like I don't
As-
think
Yeah, and I think we need to, it's like, returning citizen. We're trying to soften the language and everything. And I just, I've even backed away from all of that. And I just, it's individuals
People.
with charges.
Yeah.
And, people have made mistakes. And I think if we focus more on that, and that's where the stigma comes in, I think that's where we all have to do a better job as providers, as leaders, to help with that. And so the more we can do to reduce any labeling, our society, we're quick to label somebody, and one population that is really impacted are individuals with sex charges. That population is really at a disadvantage, and so we really need to do a better job. And just in our communities, in our state, and nationally, there's so many things going on. There's deeper issues that we have as a country, as a state, and in
and
our
there are
communities.
some folks tackling sex charge kinds of things.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's a hard one for the community. That's a hard one.
It is. Cindy Prezio. She is a champion on that,
Yes, she
she is out there and vocal, and commend her for that, because it is really difficult,
And they need someone to advocate.
yeah,
Yes. And
to be their voice.
yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean,
so
everybody could use an advocate.
Yeah.
No one should be left in the woods by themselves. Like
right.
Agreed.
We all need a hand up. It's a hand up.
And it's a tough sell, and it's a tough conversation.
It is a tough.
But
But it has to happen.
it has to happen.
It
Yes.
has to happen. And again, people are in our communities. People are living there. There are mothers, our brothers, our sisters, our friends. I think it's people. It gets back to people helping
humanity.
people. Yeah, and humanity and hope and hope for all. So,
Mhm. But for the folks that have got some drug things in their background from when they were teenagers, and it haunts them. They're 30 years old now, they're 40 years old, and they still have that attached to them is a little outrageous, or white collar crime, or whatever it is.
Yep.
To have it follow you for 10, 20, 15 years,
yeah.
as if it just happened yesterday is a little disconcerting for people.
Especially when it happens in somebody's teenage years or their early 20s. I mean, the research shows adolescent brains are not fully developed at that time.
Mhm.
Right.
Their critical thinking skills are not fully developed.
Mhm.
So to hold them responsible for something that happened in those at that age seems crazy.
And that's why there's a lot of focus on the 18 to 24-year-olds right
Right.
now. There's a lot of focus on that. Even from corrections to providers. A lot
Official.
so a lot of support is being moved toward that age group. So we realize that, and we also have to look even younger than that.
Yeah.
When I hear the stories of the folks that I've worked with, it started way earlier than
Yeah.
started
It started before they were 18.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, taking stuff that didn't belong to them, thefting some cars, a little hustling here and there.
Mhm.
So the stories happen, and then education, it becomes, they become labeled that trouble kid, and then school becomes a problem. They leave, they get disappointed with that system is not working for them. They leave, then now they don't have their high school education. and then they continue to get into trouble, and come in and out of corrections, and so we've got somebody churning in and out of the system. So we've got to think of, again, there are deeper and greater issues in our communities that we need to put some resources toward.
Well, it has been my pleasure having you all here today.
Well, thank you.
I've enjoyed this.
Thank
Has
you
been a lively discussion. I've enjoyed.
Thanks, Babz.
And I've learned so much. I'm always.
It's the girl power.
It is the girl power.
It's the girl power.
Girls ought to run the world.
It's a good day for girl power.
It's a good day for girl power. Wore my pink. For
yes. Cue some Beyonce.
That's it.
Well, thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Babz.
Sue Gunderman and Elizabeth Hines coming in today on Criminal Justice Insider with Babz Rawls-Ivy and Jeff Grant. And we are happily and lovingly sponsored by the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven, now more than ever. So thank y'all for being here. I hope you come back and give us an update of what's going on.
Definitely.
After the leadership change.
Yeah.
Because I want to hear, how you're geared up, depending on whoever gets in the big chair.
Yep. Absolutely. We will definitely do that.
We will.
Yes. So thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you, Babz.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Andrew. See y'all later.